Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our seventh class of this advanced English course. Can you hear me?
Good
Yes?
evening, teacher.
Good evening,
Hello.
Joankel. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Camila. Let me send a text to the WhatsApp group. Where are your partners? Okay. Sorry, that was too harsh. Okay, let me change that with an S. One more second, I'm texting the WhatsApp group. Okay, we have to begin right away. I was waiting for them to log in, but we're going to begin right away. So tonight is our seventh class. We're almost at the end of the course, so let's begin right away. We have an interesting topic tonight. We're going to discuss unit number 4. We're going to discuss unit number 4 about the present perfect again, but in a more broader way. We're going to see it in a more complicated way, we can say too, because we're going to see not the basic stuff of the present perfect, but that complex dynamic between the present perfect and the past simple that sometimes we forget, and we can forget about these differences that they have because they're similar in certain ways, but they're entirely different in the majority of the ways. Okay, or at least they are normally paired together because students might confuse one with the other. We have to remember that we use the simple past for those finished actions, but we use the present perfect for more things like experiences that we want to highlight at the moment, or experiences that began in the past and are still relevant in the present, and many other uses. So it is important to always remember the difference between these two tenses, especially if we are talking about the past, and we're trying to explain some things that we did exactly in the past, and some things that we have been doing since the past until that moment. Okay, so before we begin, let me share my screen and let's read tonight's quote. Okay, let's read tonight's quote. Here we have it. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This quote is by Martin Luther King Jr. So read it, take a minute, read it, and I will ask you, what do you think about this? Okay, I think that that's enough. Let's see. Let's begin with Joankel. Joankel, tell us, what are your thoughts about this quote?
And right now, I don't know why. what explicated that, but I have the one. I'm gonna say refrán.
Refrán. That's a good one. Well, you can say there is a saying. There is a saying.
Okay, but yo puedo llevar eso. Lo voy a decir en español porque no sé si en inglés. Que como que uno quiere un policía
You have to say it in
que le dé.
English. You have to say it in English. You have to make the effort.
Okay. Mm, I don't have idea about this right now.
Okay. Well, I will continue with another student to give you more time to think about that. It's a simple
Okay.
quote. Okay. I know that a quote is going to take us into a different area. And this is good because this quote is going to take you out of your comfort zone. And every time you are out of your comfort zone, you can develop new skills and learn new words and new phrases and new expressions. So I was aware that this expression or this quote, to be precise, was going to create some difficulty because of the topic, but it was part of the plan. Okay, so let's see if Camila has something that she wants to share with us. What do you think about this? What are your thoughts?
Um, well, uh, this quote means that in injustice is not only a problem for one person. It can affect many people, and some something is unfair. People um, should should not ignore it. Ignore it.
Okay, ignore it.
Ignore it.
We shouldn't
Okay.
ignore it.
Okay. Ignore it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So the idea.
Help,
Okay, continue, Camila. Sorry.
no problem. Help being uh, other being kind and doing the right things can make the world better.
Okay.
Even a small action can help create more justice and respect for everyone.
Okay. Okay. Well done. That was good. That was good. Yes. Thank you, Camila. Tell me, Jennifer.
Excuse me, teacher. No, no, I have the opinions.
Okay, so Jennifer doesn't have an opinion. Okay, Jennifer, tell me, Herancel, do you have an opinion about the quote?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have an opinion, but I have an example.
Okay.
Uh, when, for example, when you go to lie, when the liar speak, tell anything, any idea, the other person, how can I say, no van a confiar.
They won't trust.
They want trust for the for the thing the liar is going to speak. Why? Because in the past, the liar only speak mentira. How can I say mentira?
Lies. Only spoke lies.
Only spoke lies and in the present, uh, anything or idea, uh, the person I going, I'm gonna say, la persona va a pensar que es mentira.
That person is going to think it's a lie.
That person is going to think that is a lie.
Okay. Okay, so in the case of Heransel, he tried to explain this using an example about the effects of when someone tends to lie and becomes a liar. People won't trust him because of their previous lies, because of his previous lies. Okay, so people will lose all confidence because of his bad or previous practice of lying, which is pretty common too. Okay, and we can somehow spin it like that. We can spin this quote like that and say that if we allow one lie, more lies can come, right? One lie can bring more lies. So one bad action can bring more bad actions if we allow it to go unchecked, if we allow it to go unpunished, because that's the idea here with this. It's not that a bad action happens or that an injustice action happens, is that it happens and no one do anything, and no one's is caring about that, is in and no one is doing anything to to react against of that. It's only happening. So that's the problem with injustice. If an injustice action happens, we need to react. We need to say something. We need to speak up if we want that to stop right there. Because if we allow injustice in one place, it's going to be it can spread, it can spread across the nation, it can spread across the country, and it can harm more people. If we think about a company and, for example, the employer decides to treat unfairly an employee, and we see that as co-workers and we don't speak up against that, we are somehow um, we are somehow creating a path that will allow this employer to do that again with another employee, because we never said anything, and we should speak up when we see injustice. That was the point of Martin Luther King Jr. when he said these words. In his case, we know that in the United States there was and still are or still is a lot of racism, right? The black community was being affected by this. And if we allow injustice, for example, against one black person in one place, we are somehow um, giving a green light for more injustice to happen across the country, which did. Okay, it's something that did happen a long time ago, and not only with black people. We can talk about the state. We can talk about the justice system. If an action goes unpunished, is a way of telling the other persons that, well, you can do it too. It might go unpunished as well. And now, because injustice is going unpunished and no one is doing anything about it, we have a lot of injustice happening everywhere. Another example, one last example. Let's think about our traffic situation in Dominican Republic. One of the things that we can see when we are in a red light is that we see the DGCET agent trying to control the chaos or trying to control the traffic, avoiding the formations or the presence of a traffic jam, okay? Avoiding the development of a traffic jam. And we can see the motorcycles crossing the red light without any consequence. Because they do that, other motorcycles reproduce their behavior. And now, because one motorcycle crossed a red line and went unpunished, no one did anything about it. Now we can say hundreds of motorcycles in the city every day crossing red lights without any consequence. But that started with one motorcycle that a DJSA agent allowed to go without repercussions. Okay? So we can apply this in many contexts, many situations. The idea is the same. One bad action goes unpunished, you're going to have chaos in a couple of weeks or in a couple of months because people are going to reproduce that over and over again because nothing is going to happen. Okay? Joangel, do you have an idea now?
And for me, this say we should not indifferent to the, how can I say, sufrimiento?
Suffering.
Okay, the we should not indifferent to the suffering or injustice by others. Only say that.
Okay, we shouldn't be indifferent to the suffering or to the injustice that other people suffer. Okay? Okay, very well, guys. Well done. Let's continue. Okay, so before we begin, we're going to do the speaking topic first because in our last class we couldn't do it because the majority of the students weren't here, as it is tonight as well. But we have to continue either way. So we have to talk about our memories, okay? Childhood memories. So we discussed this structure, used to, at the beginning of this book, and now we're going to practice with it. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to tell me 5 things you used to do when you were a child. Okay, 5 things you used to do when you were a child. Okay, so I'm going to start with Joangel again. Tell me, Joangel, tell me 5 things you used to do when you were a child.
Right now, I don't have example to the other y déjenme para el final. Pues take example.
No, okay. That's not fair, Joangel. That's not fair, but I will ask another person. Camila Gutierrez, could you please share with us 5 things you used to do when you were younger? Can you hear me, Camila? Okay, apparently Camila. Okay, yes, now. Could you please? Okay. The speaking exercise, tonight's speaking exercise is about the structure of used to. So I need you to share with the class 5 things you used to do when you were younger.
Okay.
Okay. You let me know when you're ready, Camila.
By example, teacher.
Examples.
Yes.
Well, when we studied the topic, we saw many examples. Like, for instance, I used to play basketball.
Okay.
Okay. Remember that when we use used to, we're talking about actions that we did that we no longer do um, in the present. We used to do them, but we no longer practice them or do them anymore. That's the idea of used to. Something that is entirely in the past. That was a habit or something that we used to do, but we no longer do it. In my case, I used to play basketball because I don't play basketball anymore.
For example, I say I used to do play baseball because I have a problem with my how can I say hombro?
Shoulder.
Exactly, I have problem with my shoulder, so this okay.
Okay, you can say I used to play baseball. Yes.
And no more. I used to play baseball.
Yes, I used to play baseball.
Okay.
If you want to add more information, you can add more information. It would be better. If you said, for example, well, I used to play baseball, but then I have problems or I had an issue with my shoulder. I dislocated my shoulder or something happened with my shoulder that inhabilitate me to continue practicing baseball. There you're adding more information. Okay, let's see if Camila, are you ready?
Could you repeat what did you say moments ago?
Remember that I'm waiting for you to tell us your 5 sentences using used to. Used to. Remember that that was part of the homework that I left last Thursday. Okay? Last Thursday, I left this homework about used to. So it's not something that I brought out of the blue. It was part of today's class in advanced. Jennifer, do you have your sentences?
Excuse
Do you have your sentences?
today I feel like fluent.
Oh, okay. It's okay. It's okay. So, guys, because none of you have your sentences, next Tuesday, I'm going to send the homework again, and you have to do these sentences in advance, okay? You have to do them in advance because this is not something new, okay? We saw this topic like 3 weeks ago and we did this topic. We discussed this topic. You did exercises about this topic, and you had a practice on the platform about this topic. So I'm just bringing it back just to practice with it, but it's a known topic. Okay, it's not something new. Tell me, Joangel.
Okay. And sorry, teacher, because the last class I don't take. So it's okay. I say, for example, my father used to help me for homework.
My father used to help me with my homework. Yes.
Okay. I got it.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to continue because we have to continue with our our topic for tonight. Okay, so here we have unit number 4. Have you ever tried it? Here we're going to describe past personal experiences and we're going to discuss food, recipes, and cooking methods. Okay, so this is about the simple past versus the present perfect. So remember what I said at the beginning. We use the simple past for experiences at a definite time in the past, but we use the present perfect for experiences within a time period up to the present. Okay, so let's see that in detail. Okay, so here we have the architecture of time, mastering the boundaries between simple past and present perfect. Okay, so we have two different concepts. The fixed point, in the case of the simple past, is a rigid, closed action completely finished in the past. And in the case of the present perfect, is the living bridge, an open, continuous experience connecting the past to the present moment. Okay, so in the case of the simple past, use the simple past for actions that happened at a specific time in the past. Key identifier, you usually know exactly when it happened. Because it's a finished time, we know because the action, right, is in the past, is a finished action in a finished time, we can exactly identify when it happened. That's one of the qualities of this. For example, I ate, she went. These are simple past structures, right? And we normally use expressions like yesterday, last year, last night, in 2020, last week, 2 days ago. For example, we watched a movie 2 days ago. As you can see, I can place the action in the past exactly when it happened. 2 days ago, because it's in the past, it's a finished action in a finished time. Okay? In the case of the present perfect, we have the living bridge. Use the present perfect for experiences in your life, actions that happened at an unknown time, or actions that are connected to the present. In this case, the exact time is not important. Okay? Here we have, for example, I have eaten, or she has gone. I have eaten, she has gone. This is present perfect. We know it's present perfect because we have the auxiliary have followed by the present participle, eaten. The auxiliary has followed by the, past participle gone. Past participle eaten, past participle gone. Has gone. Have eaten. We normally use adverbs like ever, never, already, and yet with the present, with the present perfect. If we look closely to this sentence, it says she has visited Spain. But this sentence doesn't say when she visited Spain. We don't know when she did that. We don't know when she visited Spain. The only thing that we know is that she visited Spain at some point in the past. When? We don't know. Because when we use the present perfect, we don't state when the action took place. Okay. So the boundaries of time, we use the simple past for finished actions, finished time. You say when, right, and past only. But in the case of the present perfect, we don't need no specific time. You don't say when, and the past is somehow connected to the present. The past is somehow connected to the present because it is still relevant. It happened in the past, but it is relevant in the present for some reason. Another example, simple past focus. I tried, past tense, frog legs last month. When did I try it? Last month. When is this action? In the past. I know exactly when it happened. When? Last month. Present perfect focus. I have tried frog legs. When did this happen? I don't know. At what time? I also don't know. Why? Because the sentence doesn't say anything about the time. It is not about when it happened. It's only, the focus is only on the action that I tried frog legs at some point in the past. In the case of the questions, we normally use a specific time as well. So in the case of the simple past, we ask, did you eat sushi yesterday? So even when we are asking in the simple past, we include the specific time. The answer could be yes, I did, or no, I didn't, right? In the case of have you ever eaten sushi, we are looking for all life experiences. Looking for a life experience. It's not about exactly when it happened. The only thing that we want to know if that this action has ever taken place in your life at some point. And we answer, yes, I have, because the question is with have, or no, I haven't, because the question is with have. Remember that questions that start with have and questions that start with did are both yes or no questions. One in the simple past and the other one in the present perfect. Okay. Something that we have to keep in mind is that we cannot mix past simple expressions with present perfect. For example, I have eaten sushi yesterday. This is wrong, okay? This is wrong because yesterday is a specific time reference and the structure here is present perfect. So if I only say I have eaten sushi, that's perfectly fine. That's a correct sentence. But if I add yesterday, the sentence changes and is wrong because yesterday is a specific time reference that we only use with simple past. We never use yesterday, last month, last week, last year, last night with the present perfect. Ever. Never, ever. Okay? Is that clear? The difference between the past simple and the present perfect again?
Yes, never say a specific time.
Yes, that's the key. We never use the present perfect within a specific time. Okay, so with that being said, for next Tuesday, we will do these exercises in which we have present perfect and simple past combined. Number one. Number two here, this is pretty interesting, okay? You have to choose which tense fits best. Is present simple, is simple past, or is present perfect? You have to identify based on the cues of each of these sentences which one fits best. Okay, number 2. Okay, our second topic is about cooking methods. So we have different cooking methods like bake, boil, fry, grill, roast, and steam. You have to look up the meaning of these cooking methods in Spanish because these cooking methods will be in your practice that is already on the platform. And here we have a recipe. So to understand the recipe, let's continue to the next slide. Okay, so in English we have something called sequence adverbs. So we use the sequence adverbs to organize a step by step a recipe or a process. When we want to organize something, step by step, a process or a recipe or whatever it is that we need to organize a step by step because each step is important, we use sequence adverbs because we will use them as a guide to show the person who is reading it how exactly he needs to perform each action. For example, we have first. We normally use first at the beginning because it's the first action. And at the end, we have finally. We always use finally at the end because it's the final action, right? Makes total sense. So first and finally are always going to be in the extremes. First, one extreme, finally, the other extreme. Okay. In the middle, we will have then, next, after that. In the middle, we will have then, next, after that. We can play with this, but for now, and in order to have control over the practices that you will have, we're going to stick to this exact wording that we have here, starting with first, followed by then, followed by next, and followed by after that, followed by finally. Why do I say that? Because Americans don't use it like that. Sometimes they say first, next, 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 finally. Or first, next, or first, after that, finally. Or first, after that, next, after that, finally. So they can play with the middle. But in the case of this class, and in order for me to have some control over what you're doing, we're going to stick to the exact wording that we have here, to that exact order that we have here in the exercise, which is first, next, then, after that, finally. Okay? First, then, next, after that. Okay. So our first exercise in which we're going to practice these sequence adverbs is this one. Here you have to look at the pictures that you can see right here, and you have to choose which sequence adverbs should be in every situation. But here I have more explanations about that. So as you can see, we can compare the sequence adverbs with a ladder. You can see with a ladder. First, then, next, after that, and finally. We can use them as a guide to guide your listener smoothly from the beginning of a process to the end. Okay, we can see here the process. First, boil a pot of water, then pour some couscous into hot water and let it sit for 10 minutes. Next, chop some olives, parsley, and cheese. After that, drain the couscous and let it cool. Finally, toss the cooked couscous with the olives, parsley, and cheese. You see? It helps your listener or your reader know exactly how to perform each action, in which order he should perform each of the actions. So, with that being said, we have this exercise in which we have to order the pictures here in the correct order we see them. Okay, so we see the pictures, right? They describe how to make a mushroom omelette. And here we have the steps. Well, we have to number the steps in the same way that we see them expressed in the pictures, following the sequence of the pictures. Another exercise here, using the words in parentheses. Here we're going to use the past tense or the present perfect of the verbs given. So you have to identify in which cases you should use the past simple or the present perfect. Here, this is pretty easy. You only have 3 answers. You have to choose the correct responses. You have 3 possible answers. You have to choose in which case each of these fit best. Okay, and the last one is this one. This is one of my favorite because here you have to use the simple past or the present perfect. And here you have on top, you can see the verbs. These are your options. You have to use them here. These are your options. You have to use them here, and so on. But you have to determine, are you going to use them in past simple or are you going to use this verb in past participle? It will depend on the sentence. So you have to read the sentence, follow the sequence, and understand and decide which form is more appropriate for each of these sentences. Okay? And that's it. Pretty short, huh? So, those are our exercises that we're going to review in our next class. Also, we have the same speaking topic. So, for our next class on Tuesday, you have to bring 5 sentences. But now, you are not going to do it like, I used to play baseball and that's it. No. I want you to bring more information because you are capable of doing more. Okay? You need to step out of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is, I used to play baseball. That's your comfort zone. You can do that pretty easily. But I want you to do more. I want you to tell us why you used to play baseball. What changed? Okay? What changed? Why you stopped playing baseball? Well, I stopped playing baseball because I injured my shoulder. For example, I used to play the piano. Now I don't play the piano, or I stopped playing the piano because I don't have a piano anymore, or because I lost my piano, or because I didn't have the time anymore to play the piano, so I stopped practicing. You have to add more information. I used to do this and I stopped because of this. I used to play video games when I was younger. I don't play video games anymore because I had to focus on my studies. And video games took a lot of my time that I needed to dedicate to my studying. So you're going to bring used to sentences, but used to sentences with the level of English that you should have by now. Okay? The level of English that you should have by now, that I know you have, but you have to step out of your comfort zone. Is that clear?
Yes, teacher, yes.
No, okay. So, guys, that will be all for tonight. Tonight's class was shorter than it usually is because we didn't do our speaking practice. So, I will send the images to the WhatsApp group right now, and we will see each other on Tuesday. Remember that the practice that it's on the platform is about this topic. It's about have, simple past, sequence adverbs, and cooking methods. And that you have a listening in that practice and a reading exercise as well. So, guys, I won't take more of your time. Have a really good night and see you again next
Good night,
Tuesday.
teacher.
Bye. Good night.